Okay, well, I'm going to talk about an issue.
Take that over again.
You have to say your title.
I didn't have a title.
Well, you better come up with one on the fly.
My title for this is...
Do it with gusto.
One Flew Over the Congress Nest.
Political revolution of the millennials.
Welcome to Political Playlist.
All right, are we ready, guys?
Happy hour.
Happy hour.
We fucked that up so bad.
God.
I want to talk about something that's a little intense, and that is mental health. The question that I am presenting is, do we need more mental health service professionals in high school?
Yes.
The suicide rates have increased by 56% for people the ages of 10 to 24 years old.
Oh my God. That is that's
horrible.
Scary.
Horrible, right?
Wow.
But the U.S. Surgeon General has actually said that mental health has been a massive problem, especially with the younger population. Right now, in a lot of high schools and other schools, there's not enough professionals per ratio of kid. So in some high schools, there's one mental health professional for 500 plus kids. Lauren Underwood.
Oh, love her.
She's one of the best.
Care about healthcare, you better know who Lauren Underwood is.
Absolutely.
She's from Illinois, Congresswoman.
Yeah.
She's from Illinois. She's all about healthcare. And one thing I just really love is she's focusing a lot on women and the youth right now, but she's leading a group to push. Congress has already approved $1 billion in the Education Mental Health Services Fund. And they're just hoping that it will be approved further down the road and instituted to bring in new, more mental health professionals. That number is really sad to hear about. And when I was in high school, my high school didn't have any of these problems. And I keep hearing from younger kids that this is more of an issue in their high schools than anything. And it's sad that people don't feel like there's anywhere to turn to. There's massive bullying going on, in high schools and grade schools.
I also think that to the bullying point, it's like social media I remember reading something maybe a couple years ago talking about how, this is a weird way to phrase it, but that homicide rates have gone down amongst youth, but suicide rates have gone up. And it's because kids are spending less time physically together and more time sort of interacting on the internet. And we all know, how social media can skew perception and make you feel depressed. And talk about the sort of hearings with Instagram and Facebook when it came to the research they were doing, especially about young girls and how Instagram was affecting young girls' confidence and insecurities. And I think that, what makes me upset is that I've always felt like education and paying attention to sort of early childhood and adolescence is frankly the key to fix a lot of the issues that we have in our world. And I remember, in the conversation that you had with Sarah Hernandez, the woman running for school board, community college school board in LA, you were asking about, that education seems to take a back seat. And I feel like this does fall under education as well. And healthcare also sometimes takes a back seat because there are issues that I think what she had said is it takes so long to sort of see the results of what you're legislating about with both healthcare and education, that it's not like a sexy thing for a politician.
It doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't happen overnight. It's not going to help them get reelected. And also it's really hard, right? These are really hard, like institutional issues to fix, as opposed to like passing some bill that can enact tomorrow and can immediately have an effect on people's lives, which is great.
I think it also takes a young politician to be bringing this to light more. Yeah. And, it made me sort of think, how many times have you heard from, a parent or our parents' generation going, well, therapy just wasn't part of our generation.
Right.
And, I've heard that a lot from adults. And it's almost like they don't want to accept that, hey, maybe this could work, or they've never done it before.
Well, and those people are still the majority of the people controlling school funding. And like you were saying with this sort of instituting, having more mental health professionals, if you don't believe that mental health is the root of the problem, you're much less likely to put funding into it.
Yeah.
Well, just to your point, to jump in real quick, I think that there is still a very big stigma, particularly the older the generation you're dealing with, the more the stigma exists with regard to like counseling, right? And therapy, and this idea of, parents feeling like, oh, well, my kid isn't the person who needs a therapist or the school's psychologist, when in fact, every student probably should. And there's so much that I think kids go through, particularly in middle school and high school, that they're not going to really talk to their parents about. And I think that we still have such a long way to go on, destigmatizing the idea of counseling.
So one of the scarier stats too, and I think this all ties in together. When I was in college, I was at one of those functions, and you're sitting next to the dean of students. And I said, what keeps you up at night? And he said, the fact that 50% of the student population is on prescribed medication. And I was like, whoa, that's a pretty high number there.
I think that's the bigger issue. Like, I think that many people are in need of prescription drugs to actually help them. I think the hard thing is that we live in a culture, especially in college, that is so thirsty for intoxication and different kinds of sort of mind altering, that if you are, necessarily
for that test.
Yeah, I mean, but then if you like actually have ADD and need the Adderall, suddenly you get into an environment, people are like, oh, I'll give you, $20 or whatever. Like it's more to me, the environment that creates the issue where having this stuff available becomes insidious as opposed to actually helpful, which it can be for many students. Like 50% is a very high number, but I imagine that a percentage of those 50% actually really
need it.
Need that. I mean, like, to put a high school student on antidepressants might be extreme, but it might also be really necessary.
Well, like an incredibly popular show right now is Euphoria. It is one of the more stressful shows for me to watch. Their last episode actually talked about how one girl was basically explaining what excuses to make when you're a drug addict. And I was like, this is a high school student, and now high school kids are watching this and they're doing drugs and they're figuring out excuses of how to hide that.
The other thing I was going to mention, Anthony, was kind of about that and the state in which teenagers are living. I remember a little while back, we had covered something about Stephanie Murphy, who's a Democrat and from Florida. And she had either introduced a bill or maybe had sort of made a statement about PTSD in high school students from all the school shooter drill, even just the drills.
Not even to mention that's like a normal thing.
Crazy.
But just even doing the drills, and how there needed to be more sort of mental health care to students just because they're going through these drills, and imagining the worst scenario you could ever imagine as a kid.
We never went through anything like that.
Right.
We have no idea.
To wrap it up, I think that my takeaway from all of it is like, it's such a hard time to be a teenager. Like, not only is being a teenager already very difficult, you have the explosion of social media and the plethora of platforms that you can both be expressive on, which is great, but also be bullied and be judged and feel judged.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'm Michael Kristoff.
I'm Anna Musky-Goldwyn.
And thank you for listening to Political Playlist Happy Hour. We hope that you are one bit smarter and potentially one bit looser from the alcohol that you were drinking along with us.
Oh.